Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. A few technical statements to get out of the way before we can get underway. This is a hybrid meeting. Should any technical interruption to the meeting occur and the Zoom portion of the meeting is suddenly ended, it will not be resumed and all items will automatically be continued to the next scheduled meeting. This meeting is being recorded by the Conservation Commission. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. I will call to order this meeting of the Greenfield Conservation Commission, the first one of 2026. Thank you everyone for joining us this year. Call to order the meeting of the Greenfield Conservation Commission at 6:31 p.m., January 13th, 2026. So roll call of members. I would like to start online with Erica.
Here.
Travis?
Here.
Emily?
Here.
Thank you. And I am also clearly here. All right. So the first item on our agenda is a request for partial certificate of compliance, 290 Shelburne Road, DEP number 168-0364, expires 6/3/2028, stream bank restoration.
Okay, Dale Putnam is here tonight to answer any questions and discuss this project in more detail. But just real quick as an overview, if you recall, this project was restoring a highly eroded area of Wheeler Brook, excuse me, Wheeler Brook. And it was threatening it had already started cutting into their stormwater swale system and was threatening the parking lot. I'm just gonna bring up the original plans here. We did receive an as-built plan from the engineer and a letter saying that it substantially complied with the approved plans and order conditions. So on the screen, that was fast. On the screen is the original plans. In this top half of the plans, you can see the kind of the channel of the Wheeler Brook, which I'm tracing with my cursor. And there's the upper lot in the center bottom of the drawings. And then here's the drive down to the lower lot. This dark area is the riprap swale for the stormwater system. And then this area was where the hard armor was laid down and installed and hydroseeded. And then there was one other area downstream where it was just graded and hydroseeded. And this was the little bridge crossing. If you recall, there was a turbidity curtain installed and it's no longer there. That was removed pretty shortly after they had installed the hard armor. There was some heavy rains and it was impacting the ability of the water to pass through. So that was removed, but thankfully the timing was good with the completion of the construction. So these are the original plans. There's plantings up here, which you recall was the mitigation area from a previous order of conditions. And then there's also plantings all along the hard armor bank area and then this other area. This partial certificate of compliance is for just the bank construction. The plants require 3 years of monitoring. So that's what we'll be talking about today. And I'll just bring up the as-built, just so you can see. See. They're not quite as detailed as the plans you just looked at, but Justin pointed out the various components that were involved in this project. Let's see, let me try to center it a little bit. There we go. So here's the upper lot mitigation area with the planting, and then plantings along the top of that bank slope for the hard armor site. There's a few plantings here, which was kind of this like lowland area that actually was not modified at all. It's just additional plantings down there. And then at the upper slope of the graded area downstream. And then the riprap swale was reconstructed and cleaned out of all the weeds and the debris that had gotten in it from the flooding. So I can bring up some photos. Oh, you know what? Let me read you just the letter from the engineer just stating the substantial conformance with the approved plans for the record. So McCarty Engineering Incorporated is submitting this letter as a formal statement that the work associated with the order of conditions for DEP file number 168-0364 was completed in substantial conformance with the approved plans. This time we are requesting the issuance of a certificate of compliance from your office. Please find the attached Mass DEP Wetland Protection Act Form 8A. Request for certificate of compliance for your authorization. So unfortunately, Justin couldn't be on the call tonight. He was, and then he had a last minute conflict. So Dale is in attendance to answer any questions. And does anyone want to interject before I go to photos?
One clarification.
Yeah.
The armoring on the bank, they had planned to use the green armor?
Yes, it's green armor.
Okay.
Yeah.
great.
I know I said hard armor, didn't I? I don't know like what necessarily the difference between that.
Hard armor makes me think of riprap.
Okay, yeah, it's green armor. Okay, so photos. Let's see. Okay, so I did a lot of site visits. Dale was great throughout the whole process, very communicative. So like right now there's snow. So my most recent site visit, I could show you, but it does have snow. So I think I'm going to show you, just go to the one in December, because that one is, I think you can see more visibly. But just to like kind of go back to the letter, they did have it like surveyed to make sure it was in compliance. So I wanted to add that part. All right, so this is looking upstream there, if you recall.
Can you share that?
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay. There you go. So this is looking upstream. This is the start of the bank restoration area. Past that, no work was done, but if you recall, there was like a log jam. So this is, yeah, the slope is all green armor down to this base area. It's kind of hard to see. It's just looking down. And this is going downstream. So again, the green armor extends basically to here and goes all the way up. So it's at the top of this bank, like probably to there. and then all the way down. And then the part that goes at the edge, they actually like buried it and then like flipped it up and over and then like filled it with loam and stone and such. So it doesn't just like end. It's like,
anchored.
yeah, it's anchored. And so there is sort of this like ledge that you could, that you could walk on, and it's all hard armor, or sorry, green armor underneath it.
Jessica, can I add?
Yes,
This
anytime.
is Dale. Okay, yeah, it's done according, the original print showed the way that that green armor was to be laid in there with a 12-inch ditch across the bottom and across the top, and then it's flipped back over the top of that ditch after it's been filled. That's the way it was all locked in.
Yeah, locked in on the top and the bottom.
Correct. Thank you.
So I guess actually there's a bunch of snow here too. This is just an area that you can see it.
Mhm.
So, whoa.
So there's some grass in there.
Mhm.
Yep, there's some grass. I can show you the pictures too, where the kind of the final photos I took before the erosion controls. So you can kind of see it like butts right up to it. So when he pulled those, like what you're seeing basically was like flush with it. So that part didn't establish.
Mhm.
And this is where construction ended. So this is the original for the first upstream portion of the project. This little rock area is like the end.
Mhm.
Everything underneath below that at the bottom of the image was the green armor. Again, looking up, so this all was restored right there. So this area was not altered, except the plantings that they put in. And this, from this tree basically onward, that was what was graded. So you can see here, this is what like you can kind of see how it's depressed, like that's what like the sandbags were on.
Mhm.
That's, here, let's look at these. So this is with the erosion controls. So you can see the silt fencing and then the sandbags on the other side, and they held really, really well. Because there were some heavy rains, like when I said to remove the turbidity curtain, it was like a 3-day stretch of kind of torrential rain.
Mhm.
And this held very well. Sorry, I'm kind of cruising. So yeah, here's the plantings. Yeah, so this was where it stopped. I was kind of pointing out that rock before, so
Mhm.
this is right there. So it actually cuts in here because it was going like this, and then it took like an abrupt, kind of a 90-degree. I'm like that. I felt like the water would do weird things with that, so he updated it to be more of a smooth.
Mhm. Gotcha.
So the water would flow smoothly. It wouldn't be like a weird,
Jagged.
yeah, jagged. Um,
And Erica, because you're online, I just want to check in and make sure, see if you've got any questions or comments or concerns.
Well,
No,
I'm just watching, I'm just,
Go ahead.
is this a partial for the bank?
Yes.
Where the green armor, has it actually been stabilized and plantings going up through it and stuff, or does that need to be monitored longer?
Are you asking if the green armor is stabilized or if the plantings need to be monitored longer?
No, the green armor, doesn't it, I mean, doesn't it get laid down and then stuff grows up through it and that stabilizes the bank? Is that the point, or?
Well, the grass is what's growing through like the angled part, and then these plantings that are the woody plants are along the top, but those definitely do need to be monitored longer. But the bank itself, if you guys want it to be monitored longer, that's
Well, was the grass growing up through I mean, had it taken hold? I guess is what I'm
I
trying to
think
get at.
that the upper area shows better taking holdage. This establishment. I'm so sorry. Okay, this is the lower part of the bank, and there is still more, straw showing. I think that they just pushed against the change of seasons pretty tightly.
Mhm.
I definitely would recommend, in the spring, additional seeding if necessary, if it doesn't just like popping. Because the whole thing was hydro seeded. It's not like that was like skipped.
Mhm.
So the seed bank is likely underneath the matting.
Just didn't have time to grow up yet, or is that kind of what?
Yeah, I believe that's what's going on with the change of the seasons creeping in so quickly after everything was put down.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good point, Erica. I think that I would like to see evidence next year that this entire bank has been established. And I honestly think it's, and even though it is absolutely in Dale's best interest to have this appropriately established, it would be nice to just verify that that has in fact occurred. And maybe we could bring that in when they can bring evidence of that in when they send in the report about the survivorship of the woody plants as well. Does that sound appropriate to you, Erica? Does that work for you?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that that if it doesn't, that they'll go back and I guess
Yeah,
because in the long term, that's going to be what's going to stabilize is the plants coming through, not just the.
Absolutely.
correct. Jessica pointed out this deal. Jessica pointed out a spot that we'd missed a little bit with the hydro seeding, and we hit that right away. And then we'll maintain that because, as you said, that's only to our benefit and the stabilization of the whole thing. We moved the wattle and the silt fence and the silt sandbags after Jessica called and said it's stabilized pretty good. Why don't you remove them and let the brook run natural? So that's what we did. Unfortunately, that call came in 2 days after the storm hit us, but that was nice of Cole Joy to do, but we got it done.
So my thoughts on this procedurally then is if we want to make sure that gets seeded properly and it's growing properly, that we would then deny this partial certificate of compliance, because if we approve it tonight, then we're saying the bank is done. You don't have to do anything else. And we're, we have no authority anymore at that point. So if we do, yeah.
And so there is no way to include that as so for example, the survivorship of the woody plants is part of the order of conditions, and they have to report on that for
3 years.
3 years. And so would we not be able to include the successful establishment of the grass on the bank as part of that first years of survivorship along with the woody plants?
I guess My understanding was that they were asking for a partial certificate of compliance for the bank
Specifically for the
to say
bank.
that the bank was done.
Gotcha.
So if we say the bank is done, then
I dig. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not necessarily to hold up the process, but I guess I kind of would like to see how it tolerates one winter, spring, just to make sure that it's all, you know,
End up.
there, I guess.
I'm gonna move to deny this partial certificate of compliance, awaiting more evidence of grass fully
Establishing.
establishing on the bank.
Do we have a
Second. A second.
Um, any further questions, concerns, comments? I feel like we're all kind of in agreement on this. Right, so we will vote to deny the partial certificate of completion, given that we do not feel that the bank has yet been appropriately established with vegetation to be successful at this time. The vote, we will start with.
And
And-
Erica wanted to see the additional seasons, like how it tolerates the volume of water and.
Right, yes, yes. We want to see that this bank is sufficiently established to tolerate additional flooding compounded by drought conditions potentially as well through this next season. So with that, we will start the vote with Erica.
Aye.
Travis?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
I am also an aye.
Okay, Dale, thank you for coming in, and we can talk more offline if we'll just talk more offline. If you have any questions now that we're happy to answer them, but.
No, my question is, I guess the question is if we were told to remove the wattle and such because it was established. But we'll work with whatever the commission requests because, we want this right as well as you do. And, we're going to do it. We're going to carry through with it. So thank you.
We appreciate your cooperation, Dale. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I can just add, I think it's possible that in the spring it all just grows through and then,
Which point?
and that's good enough, So we'll see.
Okay, next up on our agenda, Green River Invasive Species Removal Project Update. Wisty Rohrbacher is in attendance to discuss the incredible progress she and her team of volunteers have been making at the Green River Conservation Area. Wisty created a presentation and will show various pictures demonstrating their progress, along with discussing surprising observations and lessons learned through the manual removal of invasive plant species in the area. We have allocated 25 minutes for this agenda item this evening. Wisty, take it away.
Okay, thank you so very much. There are numerous, just about our whole team actually is on this program. So wait, I'm just going to start sharing right away. This is what I want. And I'm going to share it so that I can use my cursor because I think that will help me be able to point things out. I'm going to just dig in right away so that there's time for questions. This is the area that we're talking about inside the red. Green River coming around. Here's our swimming area, the bridge that you walk across. It is within the red that the site was legally surveyed. And this is where we've been working. So the pictures will all be within inside the red here. Okay. I have our mission up here because our mission, I'm just going to read it. To preserve the native plant population that already exists in this forest by minimizing the proliferation of invasive species and provide space for the dispersal, germination, and growth of native seeds and the plants they produce. So the fact that we're working to minimize the invasive plants there, but we're simultaneously really focused hard on protecting the native plants that are coming up. So this picture, this is the picnic area. This is where the woods start, where the forest starts. This picture was actually taken about 2 years before we started, but this is what it looked like before we started our work. And this is all knotweed here. This all of these blossoms here from knotweed. To the left, this is all real thick rose and predominantly rose and bittersweet. You're going to see this. Here is a winter scene. Same thing. Here's where the knotweed is. All here, this is where there's bittersweet, thick multiflora rose. This now is the exact area after we've been working here for about 8 months. This is where all the bittersweet, the tall bittersweet was. This is where it was totally dominated by roses and bittersweet. Here you see evidence of the bittersweet that was there. One of the things that we keep trying to do is sever the place where the all the bittersweet, the grape, will be getting its nourishment. So this area that was thick with roses now has the potential to be different here. This picture was taken just this last August. So this again is the area that was total roses. And now there's all kinds of goldenrod in here, lots of different varieties of woodland sunflowers in here. This is where the knotweed, it still is there, because what we're doing is carbohydrate starvation. So we're cutting the plants at their base. Their root base is still there, but you'll see as we go along here. This picture is just to show this is one of the trees that the year before would have been totally overlaid with all of the bittersweet leaves and stuff up on top. So by cutting the vines at the bottom, what we've done is opened up the canopy. Here's another example. This would have just been thick with leaves of the bittersweet. And now the trees are having room to really take off and start to grow in a healthy way. This now is the area where the knotweed was just thick in that first slide. There is still knotweed coming up here. Jerry, who is on this broadcast with us, she's been working the hardest about keeping the knotweed cut in order for the native plants to come up. Here you have, these are all sedge and carex that has, all of these plants have just come up on their own. And they've come up since sun has been able to come and reach the ground where these cages are. Again, Jerry has built those and put in these sticks. This is where trees now are coming up. There are about 6 or 7 different varieties of trees. The thing here for us to do is keep the knotweed down so the native population can keep growing. This is just another view of that same area. Okay, this is taken just a year before we started. This is the forest floor. And down below here, these are all roses, these are grapes, these are trees, if you could see them, they're just over-covered by vines. This picture was taken just this last October. It's the same area, but the forest is now starting to look so much more cleared out. This now was taken just a month ago in the snow, and the snow actually shows a really nice picture. You can see where the forest is getting more cleared out. Where these patches are, these are still really thick clumps of roses. We work year round and we go there twice a week. We are really happy when this season hits because, for instance, when these roses are covered with leaves, you cannot work with them the same. I'm going to show you a picture in a minute. So this is that same area that was absolutely thick with vines before. This is just a month after we started working. This is a white ash tree that was blown over. These are just a whole lot of honeysuckle in here, roses. This now was taken this last spring of the exact same area. This is the exact same area then this summer. Here where the roses have been, there's virgin's bower growing. This is that white ash tree that now its branches have room to come up. So what I'm going to show you now is our process. This is right at the edge. Right here, you can see the roses and you can see just the mess of the brush that's there. Here's Claire who's on and cutting these vines off, pulling them out. Here's another. This is inside the forest. This area right here, right behind this area, this is now this last, the beginning of the fall. This area was totally covered with roses just the year before. We cut these, and you'll see that in a minute. This is what we're working on right now. Right now in this winter, I'm going to show you some pictures. Here you can see trees that are totally overrun by vines. That's what we're trying to sever, pull those vines out of the trees to give them room to grow. All right, right in back here where my arrow is, the next picture is taken from right in back of there. And look, oh, I love this. I don't know if you can see, this is a winterberry that we uncovered. And we uncovered this just about a month or a month and a half ago. Again, it was totally wrapped up in roses, covered with grapes. Here's this winterberry. We love these discoveries that are happening. This then is the exact same area. These are the remains of the roses that we had cut last year. And there's also, some of this is honeysuckle. Here are the roses that are still here. These are piles of what we've done in just the last few weeks, and they're all lashed up. So we'll be hauling these out. But these are piles of the branches of the roses that we've been cutting. Here's an example. Again, this was just a few weeks ago. This is a huge rose bush. Here's Renee cutting that bush off, cutting it back. Here now it's half gone. By the time she's done, it's down to this. So what we're trying to do now is get all this unwanted vegetation from the invasive plants, get it out of the forest so that the native things that are already there have room, so that that winterberry has room, so that the viburnum has room. So here's an example. Here's a honeysuckle. The honeysuckle resprouts really fast. So we really have to stay on top of this and cut the new branches off. This is a rose from last year. These aren't as aggressive in terms of resprouting. The bittersweet is a different issue. Right here you can see this is probably the major bittersweet vine that was right here. But these we have to keep on top of to keep these vines cut down as they slowly, hopefully, start to die. This was left. This is Mary who's cutting. We hadn't been right on top of this for about a year. And this was cut, a lot of it down here at the bottom. And this is what it has done just in this year. But again, we're going in, cutting that back. And I want to show you this next thing. Here I am. This is a bittersweet root. One of the things that we have found is with the bittersweet plants that we've stayed on top of and have been cutting them periodically during the last year, year and a half. These roots are coming up so much easier. We can pull them up. This is a whole big length. There is no way we could have gotten that length of root pulled out before. Here it's just to show you the vines. These are hopefully what our thought is that these dead vines now that are up in the tree will be slowly breaking off and dying. These trees now leaf out in their native foliage. Here's Mary again. She's just cutting the seeds off of the bittersweet because we don't want the new seeds to be falling. We don't want birds to get them and then spread them around the city. So this is primarily what we're doing with the woody invasives. The next part is on the knotweed. The knotweed is a different situation. The knotweed is our primary focus during the growing season. This was just this last May. We have some of the knotweed grows to be 12, 14 feet tall. This knotweed that is so thick, it hasn't been cut before. So when the knotweed is just so thick and hasn't been cut, we can pretty much go in there and cut with abandon, because wanted, desired native plants are not growing in there yet, or they might be a little bit, but they've been so stifled, not getting sun, not getting fresh air, that we can just go in, cut, get that stuff out of there. Watch this. Here's an example of cutting with abandon. This is Camilo, who knew how to wield a machete. And he came in, this took him, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes to do. So he's clearing off this area. You can see the pile of knotweed that he's making over here.
So satisfying.
Yeah, yeah. If he would have kept filming for another, I don't know, 10 minutes, the river is right here. Okay, let me just see here where I am, just a second. Okay, just a minute here. Okay, so I'll get back to that same site in a minute. This is the area where the native plants are coming up a lot. This area, we've been really conscientious about cutting it continually, so that while we're going and working on other larger areas, we're keeping this as close to the ground as we can. And here's what happened right away within the very first spring after we did the big cuts, is all of a sudden all these wildflowers came up. Most of these now are spring ephemerals. This is that area where we're conscientiously cutting. Even right here is going to be a knotweed. This is going to be a knotweed. There's more knotweed. This is going to be a knotweed. This is going to be a knotweed. So we're keeping those down. And what we have to do this year is really investigate the amount that we're weakening the knotweed and strengthening the native plants that we're desiring, and see how that's working. Little trout lilies right here. These are ramps that are coming up, the knotweed that's coming up. So again, we're going in, cutting these down. Here is a poor trillium that's hoping to survive. This is not an area where we've been cutting the knotweed, but where we'll be working toward. Okay, now just a minute here. This is up very close to where that area is that we're keeping it cut down a lot. This has been cut maybe twice last summer. And when I was in there cutting, first I'm going to want you to look at this pile, but here is a jack in the pulpit that somehow did manage to come up in that area. And again, that area that we're keeping it down. This area is the area right around, this is where Camilo was working. Here's the knotweed that he didn't get to. So this area that's cut, we're going to have to treat in a different way than what is in back here. What's in back, I'm telling you, the stuff isn't coming up that you can see. Here, within about 2 or 3 weeks, we started seeing these little trees that were growing, little tree sprouts that were coming up. Particularly oak trees were coming up in this area. So one of the challenges for us is what we're going to do with all this vegetation. The vegetation from the roses, the vegetation from the knotweed. And one of the things that we've been doing is we have checked to see if the stalks of the knotweed go down and are on the ground, they don't produce roots. So these are stalks. We cut them, we laid them here. The purpose of this was actually to see how long it took these stalks to dry out, and I'll show you why in a minute. This pile of knotweed was cut on August 18th by a group of teachers who came over from Four Rivers. So they cut this on the 18th. This, just a week and a half later, it had dried out to this extent. Once it's dry, it is simply dead, and it's not gonna sprout. It's not gonna take root. This is the area where that Little Jack in the Pulpit was. Look at here. This was cut July 22nd. Just a week later, these stalks, the leaves, are pretty darn dried out. Why that matters so much to us is that what we're doing is we're leaving those in piles right now, because then, and we just did this last weekend, this was one of the fires, we have these burns where we can put bittersweet vines on, the roses, bring the knotweed over, and so we're burning the vegetation then, because there's too much of that vegetation to just leave in the forest at this point. All right, one of the things that we're doing is we're using the plants that are there in the site where we're working, and we're using them for live staking. This is a black willow that came down actually almost 2 years ago, and the root mass is at the end of this is still in the water. So we're getting really nice young branches, and those are some that we've used for live staking. This is in the area that I showed you earlier. You don't have to remember where. This is a silky dogwood that's gone down. So we've been using these for live stake. This is a sycamore, and supposedly you can use sycamore. We'll see about using these for live stakes. Here's Mary, who's on tonight, and took some of the black willow, putting it in the bank, and where these little flags are, those are where we put in live stakes. Those live stakes are going in where there's knotweed growing. There's thick knotweed. There's not, all of this is knotweed coming up. So our challenge next year is going to be to come in here and keep that knotweed from coming back. This was taken in the spring, the very first spring we worked there. There were a couple of floods, and this is after one of the floods. These flags show where we had done some live staking of silky dogwood that we had back in the woods here. What we did not do on those is a real good job of coming in and cutting the knotweed. You can see here where the banks undercut. When these floods came by, even the trails that had been made by the hikers over the years, a lot of those trails got washed away. So what we're trying to do is whatever we can to keep those banks in good shape. This is actually the same place. If you look here where the arrow is, that's where those live stakes are. Here's more of the bank. I can't promise you this, but I pretty much think that a lot of the roots that are showing here are from knotweed. This is the residue of the knotweed that was left behind. And this is the way the water flowed over. Okay, so one of the things that we keep doing is we keep having a lot of questions. Like we wanted to know how, if those cut stalks could lie on the ground. They can. We wanted to know, did they take root? If they were just lying there on the dirt. We haven't found evidence of that. One of the things we wanted to know is if we had stalks and they got in the, like we don't want any of the root mass to get into the river. We know that the root mass will go down river and it will plant. We wanted to know if anything will happen with the stalks that either break off naturally or that we've cut. So we cut some stalks. Right immediately after we cut them, we put them in this bucket. This is water from the river, and we would change this water at least twice a week. We watched them really closely for several weeks. This experiment needs to be repeated. Because here's sad news. Look what we found. We found some roots coming on there. So one of the things that was interesting is we still kept those stalks in the water. We still kept the water fresh. And after several more weeks, these stalks themselves were virtually dead. And the roots, we still found a couple of roots on them. So the story is this needs to be studied much more carefully. It would be really nice if we had a bunch of researchers working with us. But we want to know that. We want to know what happens to those stalks once they're cut. If they enter the water, are they going to go downstream and are they going to cause new plants? So that's one of our experiments. I only have a few more slides. Here's one of our findings that was totally by accident. One of the stories about knotweed is that knotweed in this part of the country anyway, and maybe throughout the United States, that almost all the plants are female. What we have found, this is female. These are female blossoms. These are male blossoms. So what we did, once we found many more female plants than male plants, but we were able to identify numerous male plants right there on our site. And we watched the females put on seeds. We watched them seeds mature, dry out, took them home Jerry took them home over the winter, and then we wanted to see if they would germinate. And right here you see a little sign of it germinating. These are the seeds germinating. So this again is bad news. This has to be looked at even more seriously to find out when these you know what, they're going to grow, but here's our evidence. A lot of people, when we show them this slide that shows the male and the female plants, they're kind of amazed by that. So really, that's the end of my pictures. I wanted to ask permission about two things. And I'm just going to do that right now. I'm going to show you. So we're working in the woods all around here. Here's some of our piles that are going to be burnt. This right here, there used to be a larger area. This is a pile. It's a bunch of rocks. We don't know where they came from. They've obviously been there for years and years and years. There's like some mortar that's in there. We don't know what that was. But a lot of those rocks had come apart. So we took those rocks and we lined this path. According to NHESP, we're not supposed to put in any trails. There are several trails that are in our area because hikers come to the floodplain year round. A lot of dog walkers, a lot of people who are exploring, and they've just made natural paths through the woods. So this is one of those natural paths. It almost looks like it has stone dust on it. It doesn't. Here's this path. And one of our people was taking down some work in the yard. And these are some rocks from that. These are the rocks that are supposedly, like you see these all over Greenfield. They're supposedly rocks that are native to the area. And I checked with Jessica about, Jessica, could we bring these in? And she said, because see, I saw this article in the Recorder about a group getting in trouble for doing something like this. So I asked. Jessica said, whoa, let's hold up on there. Here you can see these that we brought in. These are the rocks that were already there. And there aren't a lot of rocks that are left to go ahead and line this part. But we would like to continue doing that. Here just shows this entry that this was put in by the hikers that were there. Back in the woods, here's like one of those paths that the hikers have made. And you know what? We've probably been pulling things out through here. This is a bunch of roses. These are all knotweed. By late May, by June for sure, this path will be totally covered over by knotweed. And people can hardly get in there. It's like this knotweed jungle. So we've put in a couple of signs like this, trying to show people where the path is existing. There are hardly any trees that line the paths, but where there are a couple, we put in these signs. And we would like to be able to keep those markers there. even Caro Frost, the state expert on invasive species, when she's been to our site with us several times, and when she saw our area that has all the flowers and the young tree sprouts coming up, she was saying one of the worries is that people will just start walking through these areas. And it would be really important if they had a way to get around them. So what I'm hoping is you'll say, you guys are doing such a great job. Keep doing what you're doing and go ahead and put your trails in. Mark these the way we are. And the last thing really, I think I should take up with Christy Moore, because it's on the rec land, it's not on the conservation land.
I just want to add to the trail thing, which Wisty did touch on, but there are rare and endangered plants there that have been located, and so it is important that hikers don't, like with the clearing of all the invasives, that they don't, like, it's not like a free-for-all, like they have clear understanding, like this is the trail, you know, and even like potentially restoration in progress or some sort of something. And so I think that is an argument for some, you know, like ways to kind of line it, or like, you know, like a fallen log kind of to block the entry to like what might appear to be a trail, but it's not, or something like that. Yeah.
So that's the end of my piece. Let me
Thank you, Misty. So
Yeah, incredible presentation, Wisty.
an
Thank you.
amazing amount of work you all have done. It's fabulous. Yeah, so I think your point, Jessica, is well landed. Do either of you or Erica have comments, questions, concerns that you'd like to bring up?
It is really impressive. It's a tremendous amount of work. It's obviously going to continue to be a tremendous amount of work for a long time. So I really applaud you for putting all that into it. Some of the questions that come to my mind about the trail issue are, you know, what are our restrictions? What are the things that we're dealing with? You had mentioned that according to Natural Heritage, there shouldn't be trails established within a floodplain. That's what it sounded like to me. Do our bylaws speak to that particular issue?
The only thing would be whether it constituted fill.
Okay. So far, it looks like there's been rocks that have been moved that might be considered fill, but the other change to the land is by use. It's not by anyone bringing in gravel or stone dust or anything like that. So we're not violating anything, maybe.
I will say that there was one comment about folks bringing something from their home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
that I would definitely like to say no more of that, please, for sure. Sorry, please continue.
That makes sense. And then in terms of it being, it's a maintenance access way, which is something we might think about thinking of it as. It is obviously, if you're putting signs up for the public, then it's public access as well. So, but I think the point is well taken that we want to make sure that the native plants are protected by not being messed with or stomped on or you know, whatever kind of destruction could happen to them. So I definitely agree with the purpose of having trails established. Probably, if we were really going by the book, these should be temporary passing ways that are used during the time when we're doing the flood restoration. And really, we shouldn't be encouraging people to be walking down there.
Well, the other thing is we have like a trail map on our conservation website.
Right. So these trails are on the
They're on a
map?
trail map. Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
think Natural
grandfathered
Heritage.
in here.
Yeah, Natural Heritage declared these like unofficial trails in the approval letter. But they're like, at least some of them are very established. They're not like these little like offshoots.
Yeah, I would like to say that I don't think, you know, like there are people who've been walking this area, you know, for decades, literally. There are people, and I'm 80, there are people who are older than me who come by and say, I remember, and they tell us these wonderful stories. those people are going to keep coming. They are not going to stop coming to this area. So I don't know how you'd keep people away.
I don't think it's a function of forcing people away. I think it's a function of making sure that the way we address the space
Yes.
falls into line with our wetlands regulations. Because I hear you, shy of putting up a fence and putting a lock on it, there's no keeping folk out. But I do think that some signage is a really good idea in terms of the rare and endangered species that you're discovering and protecting. And I think making folks aware of that somehow. And if we have a map with these trails on them, it's sort of hard to,
Well, they were defined as unofficial trails.
that's good. that they-
Unofficial by natural heritage. So I'm not entirely sure what that
Mhm.
means to them.
Because if we're putting signage up and markers, they're no longer unofficial trails.
Right, yes, precisely. So that is a concern.
Yeah.
I think calling attention to it is the thing that makes me pause.
Yeah.
Um,
Putting signage up that there's sensitive resources and, people should stay out of those areas seems like a really good, important measure.
Mhm.
And maybe we should go back to natural heritage and see if there's any guidance they have. Is this something that would make sense for us to talk to DEP about for guidance or not? I'm not really sure.
I
Well,
don't,
because
Erica.
I was just gonna say, following up to Emily, what Emily was saying was that, signage to saying, please don't walk here, then the follow-up would be to say, please stay on the marked trails,
Yeah.
Which is yeah.
well, and again, I don't know what the official trail means for natural heritage. So it just might mean that they like certified it as an official trail within the like rare and endangered habitat.
Mhm.
It might not mean that, I don't know. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like maybe we need to follow up with the Natural Heritage folks and get
Yeah.
some clarification on the ramifications of official versus non-official trails and how we can sort of best navigate that to protect those resources that are there.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and then if their answer reflects, go ahead and put up trail markers, are you guys in support of that?
I think if it fits within what Natural Heritage defines as, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add was I was just looking up, trying to find the wording on this in our handbook about building trails, and essentially the Conservation Commission to create trails in a wetland resource or riverfront area would need a notice of intent. We would have to like file a notice of intent before ourselves to do that, if it's within a resource area. And if it's not in a resource area, then that's just up to our approval, basically. So
Well,
if it's
that whole area is a resource area,
Yeah.
like many.
yeah, layers and layers of resource area.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they're existing trails, I think that's different
Right,
than
but then that brings
creating new
around the
trails.
concern around actually lining them and
yeah.
establishing them as a official trail.
Yeah,
with
and
that.
I would say the lining them to
Is
me is more of like
problematic.
a fill issue. If you're bringing in fill from somewhere else to fill in a wetland,
Right.
is essentially what's happening on a very small scale.
Right.
But if it's stuff from like on site,
It's been kicking around.
yeah.
I'd say if it's on site, it's not.
Because I see that in trails, like if there's like a natural like offshoot, whoever's managing the land would put like a log
Yeah.
there to block it, to
Right.
encourage people not to go that way.
Right.
I mean, this opens up another avenue for us that if we feel this is a really important trail, it's being recommended by this group that's working, we've gotten input from specialists on wetlands, we could get more, we'll talk to Natural Heritage, then we can go through the process
Mhm.
of doing an NOI, doing the research, doing the plan, and then establishing this as a trail. And then also we'll be looking at each portion of it and we'll be inspecting it to see, is this an area that gets wet at different parts of the year? So really it should have some kind of protection, you know,
Mhm.
like a
Thermal
bridge
thing.
or, you know, a floating bridge or something like that, to protect the soil from compaction and from people doing it. And then we would want to put signage and we would want to make sure that people don't veer off and just wander around in the floodplain. We want them to stay to the trail.
Mhm.
So it seems like we've got a couple of options. We can stay in the gray zone, or we can, you know, move into a more formal configuration. But to me, just sticking out signs when it's an informal trail that people who live there have done and will continue to do,
Mhm.
but we haven't been calling it a trail except that it's on one of our maps.
Yeah, so I think our answer here is that we would like to support perhaps signage advising people that there are sensitive plants, for example, but we do not want to proceed with any official trail markings like we saw. And I think the rocks perhaps at this point are not so much of a concern, but not to bring any more in for sure. And then we've got some homework to follow up with for natural heritage to sort of see where this might lead in the future and if the future holds some of that trail map or marking like you've got up there.
Because even though local people know about it and use it and have used it for a long time,
Mhm.
when you put trail markers and you make it an official trail, that encourages people who are not from here to come in and use it, which increases the traffic on a sensitive area.
In an area where we have lots of folks coming in from out of town to enjoy the pool
The
or
swimming
the river.
area.
Yep.
I mean, I guess I would say, since we already have it on our trail map for, like, I guess it's hard for me to know the trails that we're seeing in the pictures, if those are the same trails as what's on the trail map. But I would say if they are the trails on the trail map, we're already considering it a trail. And we've even put up signs when there was like a landslide near one of the trails.
Yeah.
And we
Mhm.
even put up a sign like warning people using the trails that, you know, there is a dangerous area there. So like we've been putting up signs.
Yeah, I
too.
think it even says like steep slopes, stay on trail.
Yeah,
Right, right.
So I mean, to me, if it's one of the trails that's already on a trail map, to us that's a trail. Like, and I'm fine putting a marker on that. But if it's a new trail or, you know, something that we haven't considered a trail in the past, I think that's a different story, and that could be technically creating a trail.
Yeah, that would require the notice of
Yeah.
intent.
So I would say maybe look at the trail map and see if that's the trail that we're talking about.
So do we need to do some GPSing so we can
Maybe.
compare?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Sounds fun.
And we have oh no, I don't think we have trail signs. We just have the
Conservation Commission signs.
conservation.
Yeah, the
area
boundary ones,
boundary
which aren't
markers.
really great for trail marking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not good for trails. But that's something we could try to get to,
Mhm.
potentially, if we have money. I don't know if we have money.
Yeah.
To the Germans.
I don't think we have money for that area, but yeah, I just want to add, I'm so excited about all this work that has been done and the progress and, you know, the positive signs of native plants responding to all the invasive species removal, and you know, that there's like that seed bank is coming alive when the knotweed gets pulled. Anyway, I do want to try to see if there is like a possibility for a grant somewhere, like explore what's out there. I haven't been able to find much more than Mass Wildlife, the one that we got, we're going for Miller's Meadow. But I feel like there has to be something. And then also I feel like there's just a lot of opportunity that in this area just for like understanding, because they have their boots on the ground, you know, they're working the land basically, and they have all these really informative observations that are coming out of it. And I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to like get UMass involved, any of like the I think they're called
Environmental-
fellows at UMass doing
Mhm.
research that are looking for possible.
The environmental conservation folks.
Yeah, even I have a teacher that works at UConn who's brought students out to do invasive species removal and wondering, if there's possibilities for students from UMass to come and help
Yeah.
help for a day with Wisty and her team.
Paige, I'm trying to think, she's the graduate program director for the eco program at UMass under CNS, and I can't remember their last name.
And
Um,
GCC's right in town as
Oh,
well.
yeah, so Anthony.
And
Raber
who?
is
What's the second one?
Greenfield Community College.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
They're trying to get involved in all kinds of stuff. with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who'd you say the name was?
Anthony Raber,
Okay.
Reiber.
Okay, that's
Although he might
great.
be more ag related, but he could
Okay.
at least
Yeah.
get you in touch with the right person.
Okay, that's great.
And I'll just add, I know Wisty knows about this, but on the recreation, like anything that's done on the recreation land, CPA money could be used for
Right,
that,
yeah.
for like a rehabilitation project for recreation land. But that could only be used on, recreation owned parcels and not conservation land.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
sadly, the bulk of this project is on conservation land. Sadly for that reason, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Not
but not for us.
All right, that sounds like a lot of really great ideas and some good stuff to move forward with. Erica, do you have anything? I just don't want to make sure, I want
Yeah.
to make sure I don't leave you behind.
No, I was just, listen, yeah. I mean, Misty was talking about we're getting somebody could do some research, and I was thinking some PhD might take this, parcel on, and I don't know, it'd be great.
That'd be great.
So yeah.
I agree. Take it and run with it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you all for coming and thank you for all of the hard work that you've been doing and that you are dedicated to continue to do. This is super exciting work. And I just love seeing your trillium and your trout lilies and they're just lovely.
And Wisty, if we want to volunteer, how do we get involved?
Oh man, that question overwhelms me. I guess you could get in touch with me, and then we would figure that out. One of the things that we have found is that so often when people want to get involved, they want things to happen fast, and they want to do it with little thinking. And because we're so concerned about the native plants that are there, like you can't just cut with abandon or you're going to be cutting down little trees that you want to keep. You'll be stepping on all kinds of stuff. So luckily one of our people is Claire. She's on here and she is a scientist. She's a botanist. She does ecological work and restoration work. So she's been teaching all the rest of us more and more about really about identification and about that. And so you know what? So there are parts of it that like have never been cut with a knotweed. And so we would love to have people come in and just like Camilo did, just wail. Right now, we're working with ninth grade students from Four Rivers, and we're helping them know how to be able to cut the roses, the bittersweet. And so we're working right there with them and with their teachers so that they're learning how to identify. So I don't mean to hedge, but we really want to be thoughtful about volunteers who come out because we want to educate them. And hopefully in the course of educating them, we'll get them so excited about nature and about learning more about the whole process. Like that's one of the things about this particular site. Like I hear what you're saying about the trails and stuff, but I'm just going to fess up. There's already a wildflower trail that's there, that people come from all kinds of other places to see our wildflowers. Nasami comes out there and does seed collecting because of the nature of the, they have permission to do that. But that particular site that we're working on is such a resource, and it could be such an educational setting for this whole community. And that's what I would really like to see. So I would love to see volunteers. If people are excited, we would love help. Like we love working with those ninth graders, and always when they leave, we say, oh my gosh, look at how much they got done. Because there were those many hands and stuff. So what can I tell you? Except thank you so much for giving us this much time. Thank you. And any suggestions that you have for us, I'd be happy to leave my name and contact with you. And I'd be happy.
I can pass that along to the commission.
Great.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Jessica publicly because she's been such a delight to work with. And Jessica has come to the site numerous times. And so she has seen it change. And so when Jessica reacts to it, like she reacts to it with a sense of history. Do you know what I mean? And so that really means a lot to us, that she knows what she's talking about when she says something positive to us. So thank all of you. All right.
Thanks, Misty.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks for all your work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, we have a proposal for a hazard tree removal policy. Agent proposes instituting a hazard tree removal policy. This proposed policy will allow the agent to provide administrative approval for the removal of up to 5 trees within jurisdictional resource areas if they pose a threat to the safety of property owners or structures. Commission to discuss the need for the policy, any edits they would like to see, and determine if they are ready for a vote to approve. We have allocated 15 minutes for this agenda item. I'm gonna usually set my timer this time because I didn't do that last time.
So we had someone in town that had 2 trees that were growing pretty close to the side of their house, and in jurisdiction, it was in buffer zone and riverfront area, but it was definitely in the 25-foot no disturb zone. And it was a safety risk, and there's no like guidance for that. And for them to have to go through like the notice of intent process and all that time, it becomes a liability for the city should anything have happened and we made them wait and go through, And so I was looking at other towns, and there's towns across the state, various towns across the state that have policies in place. And so I just took verbiage from a few different towns and kind of merged it into something that I thought may make sense for Greenfield. And I don't know if you had time to look at that when I sent it out, because it's quite lengthy.
Yeah.
So I do understand if, we want to like continue this at another meeting if you want some more time to read through it. But I just wanted to get the ball rolling because
I thought sorry, I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
I thought we actually did but maybe it was not official. But I know back with probably 2 agents ago, at least, Cassie, maybe even back as far as Sarah, we gave the commission gave her kind of blanket approval to go ahead and make those decisions. But maybe it was never really an official.
Yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere. So maybe
But I definitely remember it was about trees that could be of a danger, and she was allowed to make whoever it was allowed to make those decisions without,
right.
There was a recent situation that came up about some trees that were by a roadway. I heard about that through the Greenfield Tree Committee because there was some concern that large trees would be taken down very quickly without due process. But that was under the tree commissioner's jurisdiction. It wasn't having to do this, but that's
Yeah.
the thing I've heard.
Yeah, I think if it's like a certain distance from a roadway, the tree warden needs to be engaged in that.
Within 20 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
Were those in our jurisdiction, Emily, or no? Basically,
No, it wasn't the Conservation Commission.
so they wouldn't come. Okay, so
It was just a hazard issue again. And
right.
and I think there was something on the books that spoke to what the process was. So you could also look to that as another similar policy.
Yeah, and the other towns, like had it on their website, like linked, and it is still an application process. and they have to, fill out the form and document it, and it sets like mitigation expectations. And so it kind of just like gives like a clear path forward in these situations, for future agents, because, it's like I have to wait to talk to you guys basically for the meeting. And when it's like an imminent threat, it's just good to like have a clear path so there's not confusion.
I see you've got something in here for like a certified arborist. I would say not may, but must be required to determine that it's a high risk. Like somebody who knows trees needs to like,
Right, but sometimes it's a healthy tree that's just like too close to a structure, and with the like wind bursts that we've been getting, like healthy trees can get blown down too. So like sometimes it's just proximity. So the situations can vary.
I would think if it's a healthy tree that's too close, like it's not like it's suddenly too close. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if it's a healthy tree and it's too close to the house, it's been too close, or whatever, house is an example. It's been too close the whole time. And so I guess I'm not sure about the urgency in that specific situation. Like if it's a healthy tree and you want to take it down, then you go through the process that we have established. But if it's not a healthy tree and it needs to come down and it's an immediate threat, then I see the need. Like,
Right.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Right, but so I guess I have like a few things that come up with that. So these like wind pattern microbursts are getting more frequent and more common and like stronger. And so just because it hasn't blown down in the past doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to blow down.
Sure.
And, but also I think there's an element to this concept that I'm presenting that is giving kind of the agent administrative approval, so they're not like having to go
You're
through
not hand-tied.
the like filing with the state, filing with us, publishing it in the paper, like doing all the different steps to take down a tree in the buffer zone.
Right.
And that they believe is a hazard. That's kind of like the big thing. It's not just like a tree. It's like that they're like worried about.
So it sounds like there are cases where a tree, it's just there, and someone realizes that it's a risk, and then they get it through a sort of expedited process, rather than when you first brought it up, I thought, oh, well, there was a storm and there's a tree and it's got a branch and now it's hanging, so it's probably going to hit the house.
Right.
And so in that situation, obviously we want them to be able to take it down
Right.
as soon as possible. And so that seems very different to me from a healthy tree that's undamaged.
I think there's a range.
Yeah.
There's a range. And I think the biggest word to like focus on would be like the threat, right? So the threat could be like a limb hanging, or a crack in the trunk, but the threat could also just be the proximity of the structures and it threatening, a home or the people that live there. And the liability that comes with people reaching out to the city because they're worried about their safety, and then the city saying,
Go through this.
you're gonna have to,
So there's
wait until we go through the hoops, and then if something were to happen.
Right. So it's not just a healthy tree that's just sitting there, it's a healthy tree that is suddenly appearing as though it's problematic.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be suddenly, like maybe they're just like gotten to the point where they're like, I am not comfortable with this tree being this close to my house. Or maybe they just bought the house
Sure.
and they're
Are
like,
there-
that's not cool,
Is there anything in the RDA process that would allow someone to remove a tree that has some kind of risk? because there are ways you can say it's a negative determination with work within the buffers.
But it
that's not
still
safe.
has to like have the, like, yeah, the process, they publish it in the paper, meet the deadlines. If we don't have a meeting, like it could be like 3 weeks, so this would be like, it has to be done within 30, it's kind of like emergency cert, like it has to be done within 30 days. But there's also mitigation, so it's like stuff that we, if they did go through the process, that we would ask them to do. Like they're a one-to-one replacement, native to Franklin County, like all those different things, like with minimal disturbance, like it's all like lined out in the document. Yeah.
So that means that part of the intent of this is not just to respond to immediate threat, but to prevent longer term threat and to provide a really quick avenue for people to take care of this. We're saying, okay, this is a threat that we're recognizing because of maybe even climate change and the increase of this type of storm overall. So as a community, we're establishing a venue for people to, in a very speedy way, provide proof, commit to some kind of mitigation process that doesn't require them to do the publication. And even, an RDA or what, if that was possible, that's free, whereas an NOI is expensive and
Right.
takes a long time.
Yeah, free except for the ad in the paper or the legal notice, I mean. Yes, and to release the city from any like wrongdoing by holding them up from dealing with something they believe could threaten them.
So it's sort of it's a policy shift, essentially. It's really creating a fast track for this type of.
Yeah, if
A
there,
hazard.
if it's a hazard. If it's just like a tree in their yard that's not a hazard to anything, that's different.
So it would be within a certain radius of home or property.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would
Trail.
depend on like the height of the tree.
That's where it would be up to the agent. to go
Yeah,
out.
yeah, that, because every situation would be different.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is outlined in what I wrote down, and then I also created the application to like touch on the things that are outlined. So I'm happy to like let this simmer. I just wanted to get the ball rolling so that there was something that was more clear. Because I was not clear on what I should do, and yeah.
And like you said, this is a lot of other communities have similar
Yeah.
similar things. And I know Erica, I think what you were talking about is before I ever joined the commission, but I know since I've been here, we've talked about putting together something like this and haven't done it. So I think this is
Yeah,
a good step.
what I remember was, I think probably more informal. It was just kind of getting together and saying, okay, we've had some of these issues. We're going to like I said, I can remember if it was Sarah or if it was Cassie, we're going to let them make decisions if they come in, make them, we all agreed to, I don't know, I think we signed something even, whatever, saying we allow the agent to make the decision to, move forward on something without having to bring it before us. But yeah, it sounds like it wasn't
Yeah,
really
which,
wasn't really a
informal's good
policy.
too. I just, no one told me that. So I was, and Eric didn't know.
Well, and that would be why it would
So,
be
like,
good to actually have a policy, because like you said, if
yeah.
you're not here, the next person doesn't know, the next person doesn't
Mhm.
know. So,
Also, I like the idea of having a specific process outlined. It
mhm,
makes it
yeah,
more of an even playing field for different landowners.
Yeah.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
other thing I liked about it was that it outlined the expectation of mitigation too. Like it wasn't just like you're getting rid of the tree, you're replacing it, and then there's like part about habitat importance and all that stuff. So there's like an education component of why the commission is concerned about it.
And if it's there where they can see it, like on our website, it's not like we're surprising them when they come before us or whatever and say, oh yeah, we want you to do this.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. Yeah,
I think
I think it sounds good. I would like a chance to, I didn't have a chance to read it, so.
Yeah, that's okay. There's no urgency. The resident that I was working with before, I did request like a one-to-one replacement and provided all the native to Franklin County, points and documents and yeah.
I suggest that we set a goal of having reviewed this document and any comments that we would like to make between here and our next meeting. I think it's an excellent idea. I think that, you're right. If there's especially if there's an imminent threat to somebody's space or life, then they should not have to put a notice in the paper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I think let's and we've got, this is, how many pages is this long? Oh, it's only 8 pages. Yeah, so we totally reasonable to be able to review this and provide feedback by
Next
by
meeting.
our next meeting.
All
Great.
right.
We prepared to vote. Everybody sounds great. Sounds good. Right. Great. Then on to old business. The Community Preservation Committee meeting review. Emily and Travis will briefly update the commission about the CPC meeting from January 6th, at which the application for conservation funds was discussed. We have allocated 5 minutes for this agenda item.
all right, briefly. I guess I'll just start
No
with
pressure. Sorry.
yeah. No, I mean it was it was a meeting where essentially we weren't presenting anything. It was just answering any questions that people had about it. And I think a lot of the questions were about how vague this is, because a lot of the CPA projects that have been reviewed are like very specific. This is exactly how we're using the money. This is what it's on. This is why it's allowable. And this is just like, give us a pot of money and we'll figure out what to do with it, is sort of how they feel about it, I think, how the rest of the CPC feels about it. And so it was kind of questions about that. And then also like, some people were like, well, why don't we just set aside money in our own CPC funds? And then if you need funding, you can come to us and request it. But then they said, well, but then if another project comes along before you come to us, we'll spend it on that. And we're like, well,
Right.
that's why we don't.
Exactly.
So anyway, I think that's an overview. I don't know if you have another perspective on that.
Nope. Some of the specifics that we got to that were kind of interesting were that whatever the money is, if it did get put into our fund, it would still be bound by the restrictions of CPA money. It couldn't be used for anything that, if it had come straight from the CPA commission, that it wouldn't be, or the committee, that it wouldn't have been allowed to do anyway. And they could make further restrictions.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be freewheeling. I don't know where that will go in terms of the conversation, but it was interesting to raise that. And then, I talked about the fact that having funds that are very quick, it's not exactly a tree going to fall on your house, but sometimes conservation can be very needy. The needs for conservation can be very speedy, and having a small amount of money that could pay for some due diligence. Several of the committee members asked about, and even talked about the things that it could be used for. So I felt like they had a pretty good understanding of our reason for asking for it. And then we'll just see whether there's comfort about having this pool of money somewhere with them or with us that could be used in a more expeditious fashion. And we did talk about it really being something that we're motivated to do more conservation and to see more conservation in Greenfield, that the Open Space Task Force has been convened and is doing prioritization in conjunction with Jessica to find out the areas that are really important for conservation, and that we want to work with land trusts and other agencies in the area to do conservation here. And so far, there's been one project paid for, I think, by CPA funds for conservation specifically.
I don't
Or
think
very
there's been
few.
any.
None.
I don't think there's been any.
And their concern was if they put them, another concern that was voiced was if they gave this pool of funds, whatever it might be, would it just sit there and not be used? Because obviously there's a call for this money. It's been being used. And I feel fairly confident, based on my experience working in the conservation world, that people would come to us and that it would be utilized and that it would be something. And that is actually something that makes a difference. If a community has pools of money that are available, then that's a signal that
We value
they
that
can.
work, yep.
And it also reduces barriers for people in their community to do that work. So there's all these barriers that are invisible, but this is one of the ways that I think we can make a commitment towards like moving ahead.
And just a quick update on what the next steps will be with CPC. That was actually the very first meeting reviewing applications for this year. So there's going to be, I don't know,
At least two more?
four or
Oh,
five
wow.
more, I think, of all the
So-
different projects. And then
Like
Ma-
USDA grants were tough.
and then there's going to be a public hearing to get input from the public, and then a survey will go out to the public, like asking people to rate the different projects, and then all of that will come back to the CPC. Oh, and the CPC itself is each person is going to rate all of the projects individually, and then those get combined into an average. And so then there'll be the average of the CPC ratings, there'll be the survey results, there'll be anything that was said at the public hearing, and then that all gets thrown into a big bucket and in our minds.
That's a really robust process. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
tremendous amount of,
Yeah.
of public input. That's really great.
As long as people respond and show up to the meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
But, and then decisions will be made at that point, and sort of looking at the different, because they're like different categories of money and what could be used for what, and what's more important for that.
And one thing too, like this doesn't have to be the only time we ask for this. The first question they all had was, well, what projects do you want to use it on? So I think if there's hesitation and maybe there's a small amount of money that's put towards this, or they want to have more information and more time, I think if we came back and we had that list of priorities and we had really strong candidates, then that would, along with just, doing normal applications to the CPA fund for those money, I think that would also be something that's in our favor as well. So we don't have to stop here.
You can apply every year.
Did they, excuse me, did the topic of other towns allocating to the conservation fund come up, and were they like receptive at all to
I
that
think I
fact?
mentioned that.
We definitely said that other towns do. And it wasn't hugely swaying,
Yeah.
but again, maybe next time around, if we can have more information about that. And I definitely hope we ask every year, because I really think this is important. And it would be great for whatever amount it would be, it could make a huge difference.
And I did put in the application, which hopefully everyone on the CPC read, that, like Northampton as an example.
Yeah.
How they've
Yeah.
gotten like almost $1 million over, a
Yeah.
certain amount of time.
Exactly.
They have a lot more CPA money than we do in general, but still, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
thanks.
Well, thank you for
Yeah, thank you for going and thank you for all the work that's
representing.
put into it.
Yeah, sorry, I was sick.
Yeah.
That's probably more than 5 minutes. so.
That's all right. It's well,
Under 7, that was
It's-
under 7.
yeah. Yes. All right, next up, we have, let's see, that was CPC, vote authorizing signatures of commissions. Commission will vote to authorize the conservation agent to electronically sign the Greenfield Conservation Commission documents on behalf of individual members. We have allocated 5 minutes for this agenda item.
Okay, so this is just procedural because you guys have already done this, but recently I had one of our certificate of compliance tried to register at the Registry of Deeds, and they rejected it because it wasn't hand signed. And when I looked at the old ones, it had the agent's name specifically. The one they had was that they have on file. I've never had any problem with it. It does have Cassie's name on it. And then I have one here that has it says the agent, so this should also work, but it has Mitchell's information. So I'm like, let's just do another one that has my name on it, just to like, so I have here is like the legal motion to go with it. So if someone wants to make a motion, that they can read that.
I just have a quick question on this. I guess when we first did this, I think it was like during COVID when we were all remote, and I didn't know if this was like a COVID provision that we were allowed to do it during that, or if it's just like in general we can do this. I
Well,
didn't.
if there's one with Cassie's name on it, then that must have
Well-
predated COVID, right?
It was issued by Baker in 2020, so that was definitely.
Yeah,
COVID.
I think Cassie.
So, the question is, I mean,
Yeah, I guess I'm
presumably
just
it's
wondering,
still-
is it still?
Yeah.
Well, I could, that's a good point. What does it say?
The order suspending certain provisions of open meeting law, GLC 30A, paragraph 20, issued by Governor Charles Baker on March 12th, 2020. So this specifically came out of the COVID
Okay,
provisions.
let's see.
Because I thought some of those things suspending COVID provisions had lapsed.
Um,
And then the motion,
oh gosh, I think I might need to just see it.
yeah.
Okay.
Why am I doing this?
Thanks.
Sorry.
I need reading glasses. This is, yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm aging. Gee. I can hear that timer.
Doing good, doing good.
Um,
And like we discussed, if the thing takes a little bit, needs more time to get appropriately accomplished, then we'll take more time to get it appropriately accomplished. But putting a time frame in people's minds is a really good way to usually prevent.
Yeah.
um. I don't know. Still. I mean, the AI overview says they're still allowed, but I can look more into it.
Okay.
I'll just move this to our next agenda and I'll figure out if it's still allowed, because it's very convenient
Mhm.
to not have to, because if we voted, right, Erica's online.
Mhm.
I would think they'd have, I mean, since we're still allowing for hybrid meetings,
They did
Well-
try to put a full end to that.
but they did,
Yeah.
but they didn't.
So
They extended it.
I just found that I don't know about the electronic signature part, but the temporary provisions were first implemented by executive order in March 2020. Subsequently were enacted by an act relative to amending certain COVID-19 measures. And then Governor Healy signed a 2025 act to extend that, and it got extended through 2027. But when I open the actual act relative to certain COVID-19 measures, I'm like word searching it and I'm not finding anything about signatures or electronically or signing.
What if you
So I'm
did,
not sure if that
okay.
part didn't make it into the actual law.
Yeah.
Like maybe it was in the executive order, but maybe it didn't make it into the law, so it hasn't been extended. I don't know. I've been wondering this like since 2020, but I haven't said anything. So
Well, maybe the fact that the registry of deeds rejected it is like a
indication.
flag that,
Right.
yeah, but I'll do more digging and I'll come back next meeting with the answer and then we'll,
Go from there.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sorry,
Nice
give
to
you
have
more
that.
work.
oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Right. Neat. Commission to vote to elect a new vice chair. The previous vice chair, Kristen McDonough, retired at the end of December. We have allocated 10 minutes for this agenda item.
I did a little more time just in case there was ample discussion.
Can I get a volunteer? Actually, you know what would be helpful would be to sort of review, or perhaps might incentivize. I look at you two, I think, at this point. Somebody to step into the role. It's basically like, what are the actual responsibilities of the vice chair? You know, what are you on the hook for, if you will, if you step into the role of vice chair? I know Kristen would basically step in and run the meeting if I was not able to be here. We're gonna need somebody to do that, whether we have a vice chair or not, because there's gonna be meetings I'm not gonna be able to make. So beyond that, do you, I mean, Travis, as former chair, do you know offhand what that entails?
I mean, I think that's about it. Basically, runner up for running the meetings. If
Right.
chair's not there.
So is there,
I guess also maybe if there was, like say there was like an emergency certification or something and
I was.
Jessica couldn't reach you, or you were like, oh, I'm on vacation, don't call me for 2 weeks, you know, then maybe the vice chair would fill in that
Right.
role too.
Do those seem like onerous tasks to tackle? Maybe I'm no good. Maybe I'm going about this process the wrong way. I'm looking for a volunteer.
Yeah, I know. Who wants to volunteer?
Or I don't know. Am I supposed to volunteer someone?
Well, I guess I'm wondering if Emily would be interested as, I mean, I was chair for, I don't even remember how many years, 3 or 4 years or something. And I feel like it's good to have leadership kind of spread around, a committee and not just like
Concentrated.
one person, run because there are committees in some towns. Yeah, there are committees in some towns where it's like one person is chair for like 30 years and like that doesn't seem healthy to me, like I think it's good if it's spread around a bit and people have different presentation styles or like, run meetings differently. And so I guess that's where I would ask if Emily would be interested.
I'm curious too if Erica is interested, or if you're being away in Florida is sort of a barrier for you.
Yeah, well, no, actually more just having to actually talk and lead a meeting, it sounds onerous to me. So, so yeah, I prefer not to, not even the Florida thing.
And that is the other piece, is that there are meetings that get dicey.
Yeah.
And so that if the vice chair found themselves in a position where they were running one of those meetings, they would be the one who would have to deal with that. But again, if that happens to be a meeting where the chair isn't present, then somebody's gonna have to do that regardless. So, yeah.
And the other thing is, this is only through the end of June. Then we'll vote again to elect a new chair and vice chair, which could be the same people, but what we're voting for right now is a vice chair through the end of June.
Okay.
So
That's a good.
it's less than a year too.
It's like a
So it's
trial.
sort of like Emily could try it out and
Trial
see if she
period. There
likes
you
it.
go.
I haven't said yes.
I mean, if no one else will do it, I will do it, but
Well, let me ask you this, like, do you need to think about it for a minute? And if that's the
Do we need to
case,
recess for 5 minutes?
For me, really, it's having made a commitment to myself not to take on further commitments, which sounds strange. but-
I'm committing to not committing.
Yeah,
That's fair, that's
exactly.
fair.
So I'd prefer not to. And I would definitely reconsider that maybe in June.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to take it on as a temporary measure, and then we can see where I'm at, if I've been able to like shed something else by June, then I would be happy to consider it at that time.
Okay. Well, I'll volunteer if someone wants to nominate me.
I will nominate
Oh.
Travis Drury.
I'll
for
second.
Position of
Great.
vice.
All right. So let's go ahead and vote Travis in as vice chair of the Greenfield Conservation Commission, starting with Erica.
Aye.
Travis, do you vote for yourself?
I think so. I.
Emily?
Aye.
I am also an aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Travis. for
Thank you,
taking on the
Travis.
position.
Back in power.
And, you know, I think one of the other things to consider is, and we discussed this before, but putting a real push to try to bring in another conservation
Yeah, absolutely.
commission member.
Mhm.
So we can.
Oh, yeah, so it's officially on the website. There's not like a job description, but they have, part of the website shows vacancies on all the boards and committees.
Mhm.
And so,
I'm we're at the top because it's alphabetical.
oh, good. Yeah,
so.
because we weren't there like a week ago.
saw
And
it. I saw it
yeah,
today.
I was like, but also, yeah, so we can like officially spread word because now the mayor can officially accept letters of interest. And you know, I'd put the word out to Mark in the fall
Mhm.
that we would be anticipating a vacancy, and Mark Stinson.
Mhm.
And then I think I've seen vacancies on like oh yeah.
It's MACC.
Yeah, I've seen
advertised them.
vacancies on that, and I feel like we talked about that at one point, it being strange to send it out to the state, but I mean, it
Yeah.
couldn't hurt, right?
Can't hurt.
You know,
The more.
because it could be word of mouth, like maybe someone sees it and they're like, oh, I have a friend in Greenfield.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can share it with friends and colleagues and things. right,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Send a link.
And I don't know if this is a weird place to put something like this, but there's like Facebook pages, there's like Positively Greenfield or All Things Greenfield or, and you know, that may or may not be the venue we want to advertise through, but it might be a way again to get the
Mm.
word out so that there's more people that know.
Yeah.
Because
Because somebody said something about greening Greenfield's like
I-
listserv.
okay, Erica.
Erica, it was you.
Well, I was just gonna say, I'm not sure about that. I was just gonna say, we might want to narrow it from things going on in Greenfield to more like Green and Greenfield or.
Yeah, oh, yeah, because they've got the newsletter or whatever they send out pretty regularly.
Or or the tree committee or something, or.
Mhm.
Yeah, the last time we had a vacancy, well, last time we had 2 vacancies, I sent it to that listserv and I
Nothing.
didn't get any responses. We didn't get any responses from it, but maybe there are different people on it, new
Right.
people on it now.
Yeah, I
And
did
the-
send an email to, when I was cleaning out a part of the desk that had files from like 2012. And I found a sticky about someone who worked
Oh,
at
yeah.
one of the companies that we've had applications come through, and I did reach out to that person. They never wrote me back. But the sticky said potential like Concom member question mark, and I was like, all right,
Oh,
like
that's
this
a
is
great
interesting
idea.
timing, Like, maybe it was meant to be, but yeah, they didn't write me
We
back.
could
so.
add it as part of our regular announcements at the beginning of the
Okay.
as well.
I know sometimes the city posts on Facebook like vacancies on different committees too, and they might have like a regular schedule for doing that, but it wouldn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know
Anybody
they're
who's
a lot.
responsible
better.
for posting social media stuff is always looking for stuff to post.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, neat ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, Travis. I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's all right.
Hey, important to hold boundaries.
Yeah.
Conservation Commission accounts, review bank accounts held by the commission, the balances and the means through which those accounts are funded. We have allocated 15 minutes for this agenda item.
Okay, so a couple meetings ago, Travis suggested that this be like an annual thing, and last time we reviewed it was in February last year, but I got the updated balances and I will share my screen. So we have 5 accounts. And I left the balances from February of last year so you could see. I actually got the balances in mid-December, so it's just, yeah, it's a little hard to read. Bigger.
Yes.
Oh,
Joe, I'm
bigger?
sorry. It's not universal.
It's ageist mark.
You know, when you do that to the paper and you're like,
tablets.
why isn't it getting bigger? I'm like, oh.
I know I've done that. I'm like, oh, not to paper, but to other things that don't do it.
Poor Jessica's
Um,
like, am I talking too much?
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Why, how do I zoom in this?
Oh, it
There's a
says
plus.
100%
Yeah.
at the kind
Oh,
of
there it
under the
is.
word
Oh, yeah.
tools.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. that's
We'll
better.
do, why don't we'll do 200.
Do it.
There
Okay.
you go.
So I find this kind of interesting just to
Well-
show like how quickly or not quickly these balances change. So
So say
this,
we have nothing that makes any interest, obviously.
yeah, right.
Another question
That's
we asked
correct.
CPC.
Good observation. Yeah, so really the only thing that's changed is the wetlands conservation account, if I'm correct. And that is the one that gets funded by NOIs.
Mm.
And also, I think maybe I'm paid or part of what I'm paid might come out of that. So, you know, what it's changed might not be a true reflection of how much has been deposited into it. But the first 2 accounts are associated with Griswold. The middle account to the Bernardston Road Conservation Area account. And then the last one is the Conservation Fund that we're requesting funds for. And so that one also provides the most flexibility on how we can spend it because the other accounts are attached to either geographic locations or things that are associated with implementing the Wetlands Protection Act. So yeah, so the most, I think one of, you know, the most desirable accounts, unfortunately, is the one that has $0 in it. Let's see.
But if we want to do anything in like Griswold or whatever, like there is some
Yeah.
funding available.
Yeah,
for
so
that.
Griswold, I mean, that's a decent amount, actually. It's like
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
$11,000.
Can you scroll back down to
Yeah.
the information about the uses?
Yeah, so uses. I'm gonna go one. Oh wait, maybe I can I get rid of this thing? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I can elaborate on that if you want.
Sure, that'd be great.
Well, really, I think that the first 3 are pretty straightforward. Like it has to be for the conservation area that it's tied to. So yeah, what I was saying with the wetlands conservation account is that it's for all things that are for implementing the Wetlands Protection Act. And it's meant to relieve the burden off the towns and cities that are implementing a state law. So the NOIs help it grow, and then it can be used for staff, education, vernal pool certification, and the legal defense. I put a question mark because I saw it written by one of the Concoms, but I didn't see it written anywhere else. So I'm not totally sure about the legal defense, but it's stuff around Wetland Protection Act implementation.
So education would be like the MACC conference?
Yes.
Mhm.
Which I cannot go to again this year.
Oh, that's too bad.
Another question that the CPC members had was, had we done other fundraising? And when had we gone to the town, or the city rather, the city budget generally for funds for our conservation efforts? So, and we talked about it not having been quite a while since we've had any contributions made by the city, but also that we haven't gone to them, but also that the CPC funds are specific about conservation. So probably if we did go to the city, they might say, well, why aren't you getting it from the CPC?
Yeah.
But that's chicken or the egg. But it's interesting to know about the wetland fund, what that specifically means. And my question would be, where would that money come from? Is that just donations? Is that from the city? Is that is that a grant
This
that
one?
was- Yeah. the
Number
wetlands
4?
conservation account. Is that if there was a grant fund that it would go in there and then be used? for
No,
something?
if there was a grant fund, it would go into the Conservation Trust
Okay.
Fund account.
So
So this is, no, the Wetlands
WCA.
Conservation account is only funded through
NOI.
NOIs,
Okay,
yeah.
That's specific where that comes from.
And let me just make sure, yeah, NOI filing fees. So here are ways to replenish, everything is donations basically, or, like CPC funds, yeah. But
think
there's
that-
not like a steady flow is what I'm trying to say. None of these have like steady flows. And then the Griswold, I wrote this up last year, like when I was still kind of new, but I did hear something about like
If there's harvesting.
harvesting, yeah.
funds
Yeah.
Go back to that. That's my understanding.
And
Yeah.
does that fund the tap and die conservation?
Erica, it sounds like you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think so. I mean, I think they do it, I think it's a connected area so that when they do it there, yeah, it goes to the, I mean, it can be used for everything, I think. I could be wrong, but
It's written up. Maybe I'll
Somewhere.
make sure to bring that when we do our presentation.
yeah.
So we can go over
And they
that.
haven't harvested in there for, I don't know, quite a few years, so they might be time almost.
Okay.
I'm,
I guess I have a question. Sorry to ask for more work here, but I contacted the city accountant in 2021 and was told that we had $4,327 in the conservation trust at that point, and I don't recall spending money out of that account since then. And I was told that it had 4 account numbers for different uses in the conservation trust. And then I also had a scanned, I'll send you this, a scanned sheet that I think Eric had handwritten notes on like all of our different accounts and like some numbers and then crossed things out and wrote other numbers.
Jenkins.
This is something that Mitch sent me back in like 2022.
So are you also the bearer of the accounting of all of these? Or?
Eric has
Yeah.
always kind of like, I'll ask him and he would put I don't know if he puts it, I don't know how he gets the information, if he's put the request in and they send it, or if he had access, but it wasn't me.
So you're, well, I
Yeah.
guess I'm
Who-
just, Erica?
yeah, who's in charge? Who controls that money? I mean, can we take the money and put it into some kind of interest-bearing account? I mean, the
Oh,
Griswold
no, I
one's
think
got,
the city does that.
okay, because I was gonna say, the
Yeah.
Griswold one's got enough
Maybe
money to
district.
be making some interest, but,
And
you
that's,
know, it
I think,
seems,
in this information that I got, back in 2021 or 2022 or whatever, I think the Conservation Trust Fund does make interest, and it even said how much it was, like $376 was interest that we had accrued as of.
It is really strange that that's empty now.
Yeah, so the reason
Yeah.
I'm asking who administers the account is Travis, that file that you were just looking at,
Mm,
looked like a itemized list of income and output from an account. And so I guess my question would be, can we get
Yeah.
a statement, if you will? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like where, or where did the funds, what were the funds expended upon?
And
Yeah.
that's probably pretty important that we be able to know that.
Yeah.
I'm sure this,
Right.
yeah, I'm sure the city would have that, like
Yeah.
on, like the city accountant. Would be
Could
able
we, honestly, like it might even be useful to see an accounting of all of the accounts. Just to really have a sense of like what is being spent and how, because if Travis, you don't recall.
I
The
mean,
last expenditure I remember since I've been here was talking about some of those signs.
Yeah, that's right.
But I thought that came out of the other one, the wetlands account, didn't it?
No, they shouldn't. I don't think they
Oh, it
should.
shouldn't? Oh,
If-
so maybe
Yeah,
that
because
was
that's
where it
not,
was spent.
it's not helping implement the Wetlands Protection Act. I think that's like, it's just a
Mm.
separate thing.
Yeah.
And
it was those.
I do think like sometimes things would come out of the planning accounts. I think that, I know that Eric mentioned a few times, like, oh, we could allocate money to that, out of his budget. So it's not like, even though it says zero, I feel like there was part of his planning budget that took into account maybe some Concom stuff that would come up here and there, because he knew probably wasn't like that often that it would come up. So that would be now a question for Ella. Probably not right away. I might give her a little time to get established.
But it
Where's
might
our money
not,
gone?
it might not be a bad idea to implement a regular review of our account, not just the balance, but like the
The activity.
thank you, yes, the activity. So
Sure, yeah.
maybe quarterly or twice a year, we sort of go through and which you do in any business, you would review like what the inputs and outputs are of a given financial account.
Yeah, you have the P and L and the balance sheet.
Yeah, yes, those, thank you, the words.
Just trying to think about our different properties and like if there's any structures there that were,
Signs and things? 'Cause we don't have
yeah, or
any
like
structure.
kiosks or,
There's a kiosk at Griswold, but.
Griswold, yeah.
we haven't
but that would be
That's from
Griswold money,
40
right?
years
Yeah,
ago.
which-
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
which
that-
could,
'cause-
could use a
I'll have
a facelift.
pictures. There are some things that definitely need maintenance at
Oh, that's
the
what you've been-
boardwalk.
Yeah.
I took some pictures of where it's
Yeah.
eroding, and that's
Mm.
kind of a safety issue.
Yeah.
The kiosk itself is in good shape, but the materials on it need to be updated.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Right.
Yep. And I know we've talked about Prospect Park, that's conservation, right? Or is that recreation?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Not Prospect, what's the one-
Highland?
Highland.
Mhm.
Is that recreation land?
Yes.
Okay. We don't have
But
to worry
there
about that.
is
Yeah.
like,
But
there's a parcel like beyond Poet Seat Tower, like deep, like north of the tower, like on the ridge north that's going towards the Stone Farm Lane.
Mhm.
There's a parcel in there that we own
Not
or
Canada
manage.
Hill where we went to, right?
That's a different one.
No.
That one is conservation, but
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah, because that
Rocky
one's like
Mountain
on the other
Conservation.
side of that road that goes
Oh.
across.
Mhm.
It's like just past,
Oh.
just past Poet Seat.
Like beyond the parking lot?
Yeah,
on the
like
other
if you
side
go
of
up
the
to Poet
street?
Seat Tower and then start walking out on the trail
Yeah,
north, pretty soon you'll be in Rocky Mountain Conservation Area.
okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain. I'm just having like a vague recollection of when I did go through those files in the drawer from way back, there was a vote. And I forget what it was. I think it was for like, maybe even like stairs, like like pay someone to put in maybe stairs. Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's where the money went,
Mm.
to pay someone to do that. So I'll have to look on that too. But so basically you're saying I should reach out to accounting and try to get like
Like a balance sheet?
transaction
And
history.
they can do that because
Yeah.
I've asked for that before and they've sent that to me.
Okay.
And I'm gonna send you the one that I got.
Okay.
And the other various things that I had that
Okay.
lists like there's one here that has all of our accounts and each account has like multiple account numbers because they're like
Right.
different uses
Yeah,
within
it's like
each
a sub
account.
account.
Yeah, so this has all of those and then also the like revenue and expenditures. The last expenditure they had from the Conservation Trust was in, sorry, it's sideways, was in 2017 for conservation works, whatever that means.
That's a company that they do trail work. and
Oh,
things like
okay.
that, yeah.
So 2017, I asked for this in 2022. So before 2022, the most recent one was 2017. I don't remember voting for anything
Wait, so
after
I
that.
wonder if that's what I saw, if it's trail work.
Maybe.
Yeah, might be.
Huh.
But this
But
that I
there's
got was
still
after
like
that.
$4,000 in it after that, right?
All they sent on this was specifically how much we had earned in interest, which was $376, and what the expenditures were. And then in the body of the email, she said you have 4,000 whatever in the account. And I'm going to forward that email to
Okay.
you too.
Okay.
So I'll
Okay.
send you all this that I had. So that's, yeah. I knew at one point we had 4,000 something, or I was told that we had 4,000
Okay.
something in there.
Okay.
That was it, right?
That's the last one. I don't have any updates.
No updates? All right.
Did we
Um,
skip the minutes from last meeting?
Oh,
Nice
Because I
catch,
actually
Erica.
spent like the 5 minutes right before the meeting reading them.
I always forget that. So let's see. Can we get does anybody have any comments, questions, or concerns about the minutes? Thank you, Erica.
Oh, I thought they were fine.
Regarding the minutes from last meeting, December 9th, 2025.
Motion to approve the minutes from December 9th, 2025.
Second,
Questions, comments, concerns? Let's vote. Erica,
aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
I'm an aye, and we have approved the meeting minutes from December 9th, 2025, which should be made available to the public on our website on the next business day following this meeting. Excuse me, sorry. Okay, thank you, Erica. Yes, I don't know why I always miss that one, but all right, well, that is actually, in fact, now all that we had on our agenda for this evening. And so if I can get a motion to adjourn, we will meet again next on January 27th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, let's vote. Erica,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Emily,
Aye.
I am also an aye. That is the end of tonight's meeting.